Hey class, welcome to lesson 4 of our drawing class. And this lesson is an intro to gestures. Gestures are quick, fast, simple drawings that just put shape and placement of objects on your paper. And that's one type of gesture. That's the one we're focusing on today. The main type of gesture that most artists use is gestures of the human form. So think about if you go out to, I don't know, a soccer game or you're watching somebody skateboarding and their arms are moving. A gesture is a quick way to catch that movement. That way, because you don't want to draw like really slow because you miss the movement. So a gesture is like fast, 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 and you get the movement and the placement of their arms. So that's the main purpose of gestures, is to draw movement of humans. But they can also be used to get your general shape of items and to show the placement of them on your paper. So if you're setting a composition, which I'm going to set up a still life in a minute, you can adjust and move your images that you've drawn really easily when you're doing gestures, because gestures are meant to be light, drawn very lightly with a pencil. Whoops. Very lightly with a pencil, and that way you can move them easily. So we're going to start this first one with just a simple shape, just a simple apple. And I'm just going to show you a light, quick gesture of the apple. And then once we're done, I'll tell you what we can do after we've done the gesture. So, okay. So that is the side of the apple that I'm looking at. And I know it's hard to see because it's done in pencil. So there's my gesture of the shape of my apple. And see how I did those quick lines, and it started out not looking at all like an apple. But then as I started to adjust my pencil and my lines, it started looking more like an apple. So once you've done your original gesture, then you can come back in and you can start defining the shape of that apple. And you can start making it darker. And then once you've done that, you can go back over it in pen or marker or whatever. And now you have, oops, I moved it on the pencil. And now you have a better shaped apple. So see, that's the key. That's kind of the idea of gestures. So now we have an apple. And we don't have to sit there and, like with contour drawings, follow the edge. So that's gestures. Okay, and I'm going to do another one. I'm going to do this pear really quick. I'm just going to gesture, turn over my paper and just gesture on the back. So you're getting the initial shape. That's kind of the initial shape. Oh, you can see through the back, sorry. That's kind of the initial shape of my pear. Yes, that doesn't look like a pear yet. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to make some alterations with my gesturing. Stem up here. And so see, it's just a quick motion. And then you can come back over and start really putting that shape in of the pear. So see how it turned from that one weird shape to more like a pear shape? And then you can go back over it with a pen or a marker and pay a little bit more attention to the shape of that particular pear. And I wish my board wasn't so wobbly so that my outline was neater. So see, that's what gestures are. They're a quick, simple drawing that's very light to get the basic shape of the objects that you're trying to draw. So the other way that they're really, really used and helpful is when you're trying to do a still life. And a still life is when you take objects and you set them up in an interesting and unique way to create a drawing. So I have all of these little items that I'm going to arrange I might not put the eggs in there. I don't really have space for the eggs. But so now I've set up this kind of interesting, maybe I'll lay the pear this way. This interesting little still life. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly sketch out, gesture out the shapes and placement of these objects. So I'm going to start with this little mushroom in the front. Kind of has this mushroom shape. Then there's this pear behind him. In there. And then there's this piece of wood. Oops, and I kind of went the wrong direction with my pencil. So that that's easy, I can fix that. And then there's this apple sitting right here next to him. Okay, so here is my gesture, my basic first initial drawing of this still life. It doesn't look like much, but because this pear does not turn down like this. This pear actually is more this way, and it's a lot fuller. So I can come back in now, and I can just kind of reshape my pear a little bit. I can make him look more like the pear, the way that I see it, and I'm not messing up. Because see how easy that is to erase those inside lines when I need to, finally, at the end. Come back in. This mushroom has a little bit more of a rounded shape to the top of it. It's a little skinnier, comes out a little bit more like that. This apple I put too far over that way, so I can come back in and I can fix the shape of that apple. And there's the stem. And this piece of wood, I did a really bad job on that piece of wood. And I know it's really hard to see, and I'm going to move it up again in just a minute. This piece of wood actually comes this way, then it comes in like that, and it comes down like this, right behind that apple. So see, I've moved and adjusted the placement of my shapes. Now it looks more like what I'm seeing from my angle on here. So that's the good thing about gestures. They're easy to move. Then you can come in and they're light pencil marks, and you can erase the lines that are unnecessary. And again, you can go over it with an ink pen or a marker, and you can trace the actual outline and shape of the items that you're drawing. And that gives you that nice, clean, defined shape of your objects. So this is why gestures are really good for artists when they are doing drawings. They can rearrange and then adjust their drawings. So that's what you guys are going to do for this lesson. I want you to find objects like these Easter eggs that my son has connected together. Little things like this, if you have them. You can use fruit. Fruit is really, really good to do because you can have multiple pieces, different shapes. Fruit comes in so many different shapes. You can find tree branches. This one was polished. Yours aren't going to look like this unless you have somebody that did this, but something like that. And so for the first part of your assignment, I want you to do just 10 to 12 different items, and just gesture out the shape. I don't want you to sit here and, like with contour, really focus on drawing this shape perfectly the first time. That's not what gestures are. You're holding your pencil like this, back at the back, and you're gesturing very lightly. See how I'm just, I'm not concentrating really hard. I'm not holding it tight. It's a very loose, light, fast motion and movement, okay? So find 10 to 12 of these objects and just gesture. You can do them on, the same apple multiple times from different angles. You can do a pair, whatever you have. So that's your first part of your assignment, and that's what's going to be due on Tuesday or Wednesday. Gesturing every day for, 5, 10, 15 minutes will be really good because it will help you understand. But I know it's not always possible. So do the best you can and give me 10 to 12 drawings, pictures. You can take it, you don't have to take a picture of each individual drawing if you don't want to. Just take a picture of 1 to 2 of them and then all your papers kind of stuck together so I know that you've done it, because I know taking a picture and loading them is going to be a lot of work. That's okay. I just want an idea that you're doing it, okay? Then for your final project, I want you to set up a still life, like this, like I did. And setting up still lifes is not always that easy when it comes to shading and stuff. So just make it interesting because we're just putting shapes in, okay? And what I want you to do is start out with your simple gestures. So take a picture of, and this one you are going to have to take a lot of pictures. Start off with a picture of your still life, and then gesture out the placement and shapes very lightly and take a picture of that, the first initial gesture. Then go back in and start to correct those shapes like I did. And then take a picture of that for me to see your progress. And then once you've drawn everything out, you got everything looking the way you want it to, and it's in the right place, take an ink pen or a marker and trace the outlines of your items. Leave your gestures behind them because that makes it really cool, but I also want to see your improvement and your changes. So don't erase your lines, just send me the outline and stuff, okay? And I will write down the pictures that I want of you for this. And then after that, if you want to go back in and erase your pencil marks and color in your picture, add in the highlights, however you want to do it, then you can do that. And you can share that with us if you want to or not. But the final project will be just that outlined image on top of your gestures. Have fun this week and don't think too hard about this project. Just light, quick movements. Okay? All right. Have a good time and see you next class.